Hi, Gerhard Bloom here. Once again, tyranny and delusions of the social justice movement. So you've heard plenty of discussions about reparations, right? Well, the sin of slavery ended a century and a half ago. And the disparities between blacks and whites, no, they're not the product of racism or the lingering effects of slavery. And that latter part surprised me. I thought, no, the systemic racism business is nonsense. I thought perhaps the disparities, wealth, education, the achievement gap, I thought that was likely the lingering effects of slavery. Well, plenty of data disproves that particular narrative. This is a fact. On a number of metrics, such as education, rates of intact families, we've actually seen declines. See my book for the data, right? And I was shocked, right? Legacy wealth, right? This is, white people, they inherited wealth, passed it on to their kids, but, from the time of slavery, blacks haven't been able to accumulate the wealth, pass it on to their kids. Thomas Sowell looked at the data, right? It's a myth, right? Apart from a very few, very wealthy families, this is a myth, right? For the vast majority of wealth, for the vast majority of us, wealth is earned, right? Have you seen any legacy wealth in your life? I haven't seen any legacy wealth in my life, and the vast majority of people out there haven't either, right? And I'll remind you that early Chinese immigrants to the United States were dirt poor, virtually penniless, and they now outperform and out-earn the white counterparts, let alone the black counterparts, right? This is, a culture that fosters achievement and success, right? So, yes, great fortunes can be accumulated and lost very quickly. LeBron James has managed to amass a huge fortune, and so has Oprah and Barack Obama, right? And this wealth can all disappear very quickly. The truth is, most of this wealth, even this vast amount of wealth, can disappear within a generation or two, right? And does anybody demand reparations from Cuba? They took in many more slaves than the United States did, right? The same is true of Brazil. North African Muslims held more white slaves than America held black slaves, right? That is a fact, right? It also had many more black slaves than all of the European governments and North America combined. This is the Muslim world, right? American blacks have the highest standards of living in the world. They are very fortunate to have been born in the United States. And check out the book Out of America, right, by a black reporter, and describes his experiences in Africa. And he comes to the same realization that I have, right? American blacks are very fortunate to be in the United States, right, rather than in Africa, right? And let's add to this fact that it was Britain and slightly later the United States that fought to end the global slave trade, right? It was the United States and Britain. They spent money and they lost lives ending the global slave trade. And it wasn't easy, right? The Muslims, they put up a fight. And very recently, the Islamic State in Sudan had thousands of slaves, black Christian slaves, right? Thousands of black people, right? And slavery continues today in the Muslim world, right? So the United States can hold its head high. Slavery was a human universal. There was slavery in Africa for 1,000 years before the white man came. Right? And they purchased the slaves from Africans, right? They didn't go into the deep, dark heart of Africa capturing slaves. No. The African tribes there captured these black people, sold them off into slavery. And they kept some of them for themselves, by the way. So maybe reparations should be extracted from those African tribes that sold fellow Africans off into slavery. That's where the white people got the slaves, right? I hope you will check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice, It's available on Amazon. It's important, not because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. And I promise you, you will be in for quite a few surprises. I followed the data, right? I followed the data. And I'll give you that data, and I will prove the lie in this social justice movement. It's cancerous. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.